Yemin Moshe is one of the most wonderful neighborhoods in Jerusalem. Cobbled streets, small houses, beautiful gardening, and in about a month there are going to be fruit on the trees that you can just come and pick and enjoy. But when this neighborhood began being built in 1860, people had to be convinced to come and live here. In some cases, they were actually paid to come, because the downside of this amazing location, just outside the walls of the old city, a valley away, is that it was outside the walls of the old city, meaning that it was unprotected. So while in there, people were living in cramped living conditions, families of 6, 8 or 10 people living together in the same 2 or 3 room apartments with no running water and no sanitation. Out here, it was a really dangerous place to live. It took a lot of creativity and a lot of entrepreneuring spirit for a man called Moshe to say, we're going to get people to feel comfortable living outside the walls and expanding the scope of Jewish daily life outside the old city of Jerusalem. So how did he get people to come and live here? Meet you in a moment. So parallel to wanting people to live outside the old city, Moshe wanted them to be able to sustain themselves. And he builds alongside the neighborhood of Mishkanot Sha'ananim also this windmill which was meant for flour, so that they could grow their own wheat, make their own flour and make their own bread, which must have been quite cool and very empowering. But I want to draw your attention, we're kind of looking over the Mishkanot Sha'ananim neighborhood, and it's often said how the top of it looks like the wall to give people a sense of security and all different aspects of life there. I want to draw your attention to the fact that it was housing meant for very, very poor people, but it's really high quality houses. I've heard people complain about the fact, for example, that Moshe bought a lot of the metal work and a lot of the drain work all the way from England, from Ramsgate, in order to set it up in this house. And they said, well, he could have built a house for, 3 other people, more apartments, as opposed to giving them such amazing furnishings. And I say, quite on the contrary, isn't it lovely that a 2-room apartment, one for a very poor family, has the best railings and a lovely balcony and really good drainage all the way from Ramsgate. And just as a final aside, I really hope that you go and enter the Mishkanot Sha'ananim neighborhood and look at it from inside, lose yourself in the streets of Yemin Moshe, but also look towards the walls of the old city and think about the fact that anything that's outside of it began only 150 years ago or later. So everything's so new, you can really imagine the generations going by and the city building itself up. And I hope you kind of get a sense of how the historical layers can be peeled if you stop and look at them.